Welcome back to another episode of the Sky Society podcast. Today, my special guest is Marygrace Tropeano. She is a digital content creator, a fashion model, and actress and entrepreneur, so a whole bunch of things. She started her career as a model and then started creating content on TikTok and YouTube, encouraging diversity in the modeling industry, where she's now reached over 1.3 million followers. Absolutely insane. And Marygrace also recently started her own social media agency, Tropeano Media Group, which I'm excited to jump into as well. So a whole bunch of different career interests and passions that you are currently pursuing. So I'm excited to jump into those. The theme of today's episode will be all about embracing multiple different interests in your career. But before we jump into all of that, Marygrace, can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi, everyone. Well, you basically said everything.
I know. I didn't. Anything else you want to add, though?
Well, let me see. I like lasagna and I like going out.
Beautiful.
No, yeah, I'm really interested, into getting into detail.
Awesome. And then you're joining us from London, correct? Is that where you're currently based?
Yes.
Yes. Amazing. So tell me. So we're I want to go through a little bit of how you ended up here, like actively pursuing multiple different things, not putting one thing on hold just to pursue one. So if you want to start and kind of take me back to when you started modeling, so that was when your career started. When along that journey did you decide that you wanted to start becoming a content creator, or you wanted to start sharing your story on TikTok and YouTube?
So my modeling career started when I was 5 in Milan. I'm Italian, but I live in the UK. And I've never thought it was going to be something that I would have pursued once I was old. And basically, I moved to London at 18 by myself. I used to live in Manchester before. And I started to go to university to get a marketing degree, which is where the passion for business comes in. And I was messing around with friends, and a friend of mine said, I have this photography project and I need a model. And I had been modeling for like 6 years back then at the time, because I stopped when I was like 11 or something. And I said, okay, sure, let's do it. We were in Hyde Park and I still loved it the same way I used to when I was a kid. I said, okay, let me do it as a hobby. Like, why not? Let's do it like on the side. And before I even realized it, it started to become like a career. I got booked for jobs before even having a portfolio, got called for London Fashion Week. And I was scared because I am not like really tall. I'm 5'5", which is like average. But in the modeling industry, I didn't know how it worked in the UK, because in Italy, they're really, really strict. And actually, I started to get work. Then we happened to be in COVID. Obviously, everybody downloaded TikTok. And I always had passion for creating things, DIY, content, a bit of everything, but I never put myself into actually creating content. So during COVID, during the pandemic, I started to upload stuff. And my first viral video was with a song that Drake made come out, and everybody were doing the dances because everybody was dancing on TikTok. And I did how to pose as a fashion model to the song. So I brought in the modeling TikTok of Gen Z. So
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes. And it blew up. It got 5 million views. So
wow.
Then the next video did a different pose, 3.5 million. And this is how it all started. So I started to showcase the behind the scenes of modeling and the reality, what it's like being a model, being 5'5", what it's like being a model in London, and all these aspects. This is how it all started.
That's insane. Yeah, I know. I like the TikToks that show how to pose like a model, because I feel like so many people have no idea. Like, there's definitely a talent to it that, that takes skill. So I even think those videos are really interesting. What do you think about that content, though, allowed you to get millions and millions of views? Because I'm sure there's likely other people maybe, posting, I don't know if posting content exactly like yours, but like, what do you think about your content was unique, or what about it really resonated with people that allowed you to start going viral and growing your platform so quickly?
So when I started out, it was because I was bringing something new, something that has never been done before. So the only one that was doing modeling was Coco Rocha, but she was doing like on a really professional level. And as I said, I was bringing more the like Gen Z. So posing on the beat of a song, for example, all this like behind the scenes that people had no idea about. So this is how I blew up, because I was bringing creativity and unique content. Then obviously competition started to arise, because all the other models were like, wait, let me do it as well. And it was working. So I noticed that for me, for my content personally to go viral and grow and build a community, is actually not copying trends, but making them. That's what differentiates me from the rest, and what I found successful, at least with my accounts.
So that's
consistency is also the key as well.
I think really profound that you said not copying trends, but making them. Now that there's so many more people on TikTok, obviously, than when you started, how are you able to make trends, or how do you know, or how are you able to do that now, since the platform is so much more saturated?
So actually, now that there are also many more platforms, I noticed that my content really differentiated each other. Because, for example, last year, there was this content that I made on how men should pose in modeling. So obviously, coming from a girl that's a model is like, what do you mean? But it went really viral on TikTok. However, on Instagram, nobody cared. This year is the other way around. This year, like, Instagram is going crazy for this kind of videos, where TikTok, they want something completely different. And I noticed now that kind of like everybody can be an influencer, because it is so, like you said, saturated. If you put like content and you follow the trends, you can grow those like 100K followers. I think the key is being yourself and being creative. Like, even if you get a video that gets like 3K, don't think like, oh, it got 3,000 views, I don't care about it, I need to post what everybody's posting. Keep posting those videos of like 3,000 views until you find that thing that makes you unique. So it can be, I don't know, maybe before you start the video, you put your hair at the back. That's your signature thing. Or you say that particular thing that will say, oh yeah, she is Marygrace. That's why I follow her.
Do you have a specific thing like that? Do you have a thing you do in every video?
No, actually, I did at the time, but depends from the type of video that I do, because I started just with modeling, and then I started to expand it into tips, like confidence tips, marketing. I design a clothing collection, so I'm also posting that. It's like now it's a bit of a mixture of things. But at the time when I started, I was known as the model of TikTok. So that was my signature thing, like the model of TikTok. So when people would stop me in the street, they're like, "Oh, you're the model from TikTok." I was like, "Yeah."
That's amazing. And then since you've been able to grow with your audience, change, kind of share those different passions that you have on your platform, as well, not just strictly doing modeling.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that you'd mentioned is that you are also you do acting. At what point in your journey did you start pursuing that?
Since forever.
Since forever.
I've always wanted to be an actress. But in Italy, I was traveling a lot. So I did it with modeling when I was a kid. I did a lot of like short films and TV commercials, but then I had to stop because, again, I was traveling, and that's also when modeling stopped. And then my biggest goal, like dream, when I moved to London was to become an actress. So I said to myself, I'm going to get this degree because I like business, and I've always wanted to get a degree. But at the same time, I want to pursue what I would like to do, which was acting. So I was taking acting classes, and then modeling happened, content creation happened. So it all kind of like got mixed together, which, yeah, I don't mind.
And then I think the last so we have acting, we have modeling, we have content creation. So tell me about your journey becoming a digital entrepreneur. Is this agency that you just started your first venture? Have you done others before?
So it's my first one. It's actually something that I never thought I would do. Because honestly speaking, when I started my degree, I didn't think any of this. I thought I was gonna get a degree and then work for a company. I've always wanted to be in marketing, but I didn't know I was gonna open my business, especially a social media agency. Like, it was never in my plans. So once I started to work for myself, and I learned what it means being independent and working for yourself. So I know if I work like 10 days out of like 30, I know what money is coming in. Like, I don't need to depend on anybody, but I can also decide to stay off for 20 days if I want to. So once I started to have this, I was like, okay, I don't want to give it up because I really like it. And I've always had this like passion for building things. Like, I like the process a lot. It's not even the end result. For me, it's about the process itself. If I have fun and I enjoy doing it, that's winning for me. So after the second year of uni, I had lots of brands that were asking me for services regarding social media, because I was modeling for them, and they were like, "Oh, you also have followers, but why don't you, as you know how to go viral, why don't you make an agency?" I was like, "I don't know, it's not something I've always been really interested in." And I always wanted to open a perfume company, actually, but I didn't open that yet because I want to travel first. And I feel like once I open that, I need to be at least 2 or 3 years here to check everything, what it's like, whether the social media agency is more flexible, I can work from anywhere. And then last year in July, August, I met this real estate company that really wanted to partner up with me to create content for their houses and their clients. So I said, you know what, why not? You know what, let's try it. Let's do it. So that's how it all started.
Amazing. So I want to jump into a little bit more, but before I do, I want to touch on something that I think a lot of us may struggle with is having, so you mentioned that so you're doing a lot already, but there's even more things that you want to do. And you touched on some of them. I'm sure there's other passions that you have that you're not actively pursuing. How do you choose which ones to pursue right now? So how do you know, okay, and you mentioned that example of, the acting agency isn't right for me right now because I want to travel, but there may be like someone listening to this may say, I have 10 things I'm so passionate about. How do they start choosing which one is the right one for them to start now?
Well, I'll say make a list. And if you imagine yourself being the happiest, what would you be doing? The first thing that comes to mind, that's the one. If you need to focus on one, take that first, because I have many interests. Like, I also love painting and drawing, but I don't see myself having a career out of it. Yes, I love it. Yes, I like it, but I like it in my free time, not for a career that I really want to do it every single day. Whether the things that I do, like modeling, for example, it's just, I don't even, like, I wake up happy. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go on set. Let's go. Let's do it. So yeah, that's probably what I would say. Actually, like you know the answer, just follow your heart.
I think that's a good point too. Some of us, we do know, but we're afraid to say, yes, that's the thing, or because of a million other reasons, like we're afraid, or we're worried about what people will think. But using that like instinct, there's like a game like that if you can't decide, I think they do it in like the TV show Friends, where they ask, you get asked a bunch of questions, and then whatever comes to your mind first.
Oh,
I'm not going to go into
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you ask someone like a couple questions that are easy, and then you get to the real one, and then whatever your first instinct is. But yeah, I think it's interesting because I think a lot of us have a lot of things we're interested in, but picking what to pursue right now in the moment is hard. And then that often leads to people choosing nothing because they have analysis paralysis, where they can't pick, so they do nothing, and then it just keeps being this dream. And then but I love your advice, Marygrace. Make a list, and then whichever one you're immediately drawn to, just start with that one, and then if it doesn't work out, you could try another one.
But even because I'll say, like, nowadays it's like a 50-50. Like, you have the opportunity to do everything. Like, literally you can do whatever you want nowadays, but there's also the competition. Like, there are so many people doing it that's what kind of stops you, the fear of like, I want to do it, but why will I succeed? So you just have to do it because you like it. So definitely.
Is there any fear around that for you starting a social media agency, because there are so many different social media agencies? Or what do you think is the unique angle or take that your agency will take?
So I have a fear, but not for the competition. It's actually with myself. Competition-wise, I'm really confident because the key, which is also what I tell my clients when they tell me, oh, will AI do the job then? Yes, they can manage content for sure. They can check the trends, but they will never have the creativity and the unique selling point. That's what I have. So yes, I know how to go viral, but because I'm creative with it and I know how to follow trends. So even if you get because all the agencies will implement AI, obviously, they will monitor trends, but everybody will be doing the same exact thing. So you still need somebody that takes it out of the context, makes something completely creative and unique about it, and post it. So I don't have any fear about it. My only fear is actually with myself, because I feel like that I will have less time to do the other things that I like. So yes, I do it, but I'm not putting like my 100% into it, because I feel like then I will be a bit, I have to do this, like I have to say no to a content creation day, for example. I have to say no to this modeling job.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, let's dive a little bit into that aspect as well. So you are juggling so many different things at once. Do you have any tips for staying disciplined and focused, or for managing many different projects when you are feeling incredibly busy?
That's a hard one. So first of all, have a routine. Definitely what helps is writing your tasks for the day, the week, the month, however you want to manage your time, and like have a scheduled routine. Like if you feel like for example, in my case, I do many things. So I have one day where I just create content, another day and I edit it for the week, another day where I just focus mostly on the business. So I get the clients, I get my team to do what they have to do. Obviously, I'm still available and I keep my timing, for example, an hour a day for the agency, but I keep every day separate. So if I get, for example, a modeling job on Wednesday, another on Wednesday, I'm off for everything else.
Got it.
So
Okay.
first thing is definitely routine. But however, another thing that I would really recommend is taking it easy on yourself. Because I'm someone that's really critical with themselves. When you have those days where you cannot be bothered to do anything, maybe because you feel low or you just want to be in bed, it's okay, do it, take it. Because for me, for example, I might not work for 3 days, but then that day that I work for like a month. One day it's equivalent to a month. So it depends also for yourself, but go easy on yourself.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Definitely know. And I think for high achievers, it's easy to be really self-critical and really hard on yourself. So it's really important to have that balance as well. So
Exactly.
one thing I would also love to know is, it's easy to look at someone, I think, with your level of success. And now that you're already here, right? It's when someone looks at you on TikTok, sees that you have 1 million followers, things may seem easy for you, but you had to work really, really hard to get to where you are now. That didn't just come. What if anything, have you had to sacrifice to achieve the success that you have now?
A lot. A lot. I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed relationships. I sacrificed friendships. I sacrificed time and money. Many times I didn't go out. All the times there were my friends going out for clubs, whatever, I didn't. Or even money at the beginning, I didn't have any. So I was starting out, I couldn't rely on my parents. So I was like doing volunteering jobs, like how do you call them? Like when you give out flyers. I've been a barista. I've been into it. Those are the sacrifices that you make. And when you come back home and you're like extremely tired, that's when you're still like, yeah, you still gotta do it. You wake up, you still get up and do what you have to do. But at the end, it's worth it. I wouldn't say that I'm successful myself under that aspect of how it is perceived. But for me, success is more about being happy with what you do and being able to be free, let's say, because at the end of the day, most of people want freedom. And I can say that I have that. So that's what success is for me. I have the freedom and I'm happy for everything that I do. So, but I worked my ass to get there.
Okay, so many awesome things you just said there. And I think it's so important to talk about the things that we've sacrificed, or you as an example of what you sacrificed to achieve this level of success, because it is really hard. And I feel like sometimes that's missing from the conversation of how hard it actually is to do all these things. Like you are a model, you do acting, you create content, you have your own business, and all those things sound very glamorous, but in reality, it is so hard to get there. And I can relate to that. Same thing with my, starting Sky Society. The part that people don't see is how hard it was, like how much you have to give up. And that part doesn't really get talked about. That part doesn't, isn't
behind the scenes.
it's the behind the scenes. And it's like the behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, because
Exactly.
it's not relevant, like, oh, you stayed in for a weekend, didn't go out with your friends, or you didn't spend money, or you weren't able to work on relationships as other people, because they seem so minute, they seem so small, but they are very, very big things that
really big.
Yeah, and they add up. But also, you mentioned there, freedom was something that was really valuable too. And I think that's something I find that entrepreneurs in general have in common, of what they seek is freedom. And I think some people will mistake that. They'll put, oh, I want money, or I want success. But I really love that you said freedom. I'm the same way. When you are your own boss, you have no one telling you what to do. You have flexibility over your schedule. Like, I get to go home and visit my family and spend, a week or two home. I don't have to check in with anybody to do that. If one of my friends really needs me on a Wednesday in the middle of the day, like, I can go be there. I could take, that freedom part is so important. I think people also undervalue that, because I think it is something that's really, really important to look for in your life.
I agree. Yeah, people see freedom sometimes as like, oh, I can travel whenever I want, I can spend all the money I want, but that's not even freedom. The real freedom is actually being able to do what you want. Like you said, like if you want to go visit your parents, I'm the same, because they live in Manchester. If I want to go like in 3 hours, I can go. Like, I don't need to say anything to anybody. And I don't lose hours of work. I don't lose money out of it. So that's the best thing ever.
Yeah. And I think money is also a component of freedom, right? What does having more money allow you to do? It does allow you to travel. It allows you to, get that last minute flight. It is absolutely a component. So I also think that it's completely okay to say like that, money is a factor in that. I think that it's just knowing that like money doesn't buy happiness. Money gives you freedom. And then you have the freedom to choose what you want to do with your time, which will then hopefully give you happiness. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think it's such a good way of looking at it. Or for you, freedom to choose to pursue your passions, freedom to do all of these multiple different things that you love. Well, exactly. So Marygrace, so kind of similar in that same vein, have you ever been in a really difficult rut? So you've been on this journey for a long time, for a little while, and you've obviously had an upward trend, like overall of growing, but have there ever been times in your life or in this journey where you have just been so stuck or incredibly sad, or just in a rut where you felt very, very unhappy? And if so, how are you able to make it through?
100% multiple times, because that's the life that you get. There are obviously the bright side, but there's also the downside. And this is definitely one of those. I had a few moments when I was really, really down, and due to like different factors, sometimes it was health-wise that then brought me to rethink about my whole life, career choices, etc. All the times had to do with relationships, all the times had to do with myself, actually. And so in my case, it really depends. I think it depends from the type of person that you are, from your personality. For example, when I'm down, most of the time, I'm really confident in myself as a person, but I get self-doubt sometimes. So I don't need you to tell me what to do, but I need somebody, like usually it's my mom, because she's my best friend. So I call her, I'm like, Mom, I'm having one of those moments. You got to like, and I need someone that tells me, just reminds me who I am. That's it. So, and I think it also depends from the type of reason you're down. So one thing that helped me a lot, for example, was actually going away. Because in January I was really down. I had many things not going my way. Like everything was going okay, but not as good as I wanted it to be. There were like some things that were supposed to happen and didn't happen. And I was like, I feel stuck. Like, modeling is going well, but I don't see like a turnaround. Acting is going as usual. I'm getting the self-tapes, getting callbacks, whatever. The agency is going fine, but nothing like crazy good. So I was like, I feel like I'm in a point, or I've been in a point where I went all the way up. I reached the top, and then I kept going like this. Like I kept going straight. So that was my period where I was like, I wasn't down, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I achieved everything I wanted to achieve. I achieved all those goals. I reached 1 million. I reached getting many followers and getting invited to speak at events and all these amazing things. But now what? So one thing that really helped me was actually traveling to Mexico. I had to travel there for work, for modeling, and I took it also as a personal life experience more than work. So I was doing work on myself every single day, like watching videos and journaling and trying to understand my emotions and how to fix the problem, because I'm a fixer. So there is a problem. As long as I identify it, I find 10,000 solutions to solve it. So that is not an issue for me. But yeah, exchanging environment for me really helped me a lot. But again, depends from the situation and your personality as well.
I love there what you said about how you can everything can still be going good and you could feel unhappy or you could feel unfulfilled. I can absolutely relate to that as well. There was a similar time where you know, I had everything I wanted to and I felt very, very unhappy. And your approach there of like trying to understand your feelings, changing your environment, I think is such good advice, because it's easy to say like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. Like I have a million followers on TikTok. Yeah, I'm modeling, like everything's okay. Like I'm just gonna push these feelings aside, like they don't matter. And I love what you said there. Is like I was journaling, I was really trying to understand, where those feelings were coming from, so that way I could address it. I think that is beautiful, beautiful advice, because it is so important to face those feelings. And then changing your environment. I moved from California to Austin. That was like my changing of my environment, as I moved states in the United States. Pretty extreme. I don't think you need to go that far, but even if it's a trip or even if it's something small, exactly, like going, away for a weekend. But it's also like you said, it's okay to have all the things that you think you should want and not feel fully happy. And that's often because there's likely something else greater that, you want. Like you thought that, okay, if I reach 1 million followers and that's going to be the thing that's going to make me happy, but then it's going to be, okay, now you're going to want 2 million followers, and then you're going to want 5 million
and
followers.
Then there's 3. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's going to keep growing and it's going to keep changing. And there's the cheesy quote, right? It's about the journey, not the destination, which is also a good reminder for that.
No, because I even started to think maybe I'm a bitch who doesn't appreciate what she has. So I started to do this like self-work, asking myself those questions. I was like, do I actually appreciate what I have? Because I feel like I do, but from facts, why do I feel like this then? Then the second question came up, which was, okay, maybe I don't like what I do anymore. But what is it that I don't like? So I have to take each thing separately, and in the moment actually understand if I was feeling happy about it or if I didn't. So I took one day when I was modeling, that was obviously for a job, but I was like, okay, do I like being here? Do I still like going on set? But I still was happy. So I was like, okay, that cannot be it. Acting, I got a self-tape, spoke to the director, whatever. I was like, yeah, I still love doing this. So it could not be acting. Agency, I had like lots of meetings and my normal schedule. I was like, no, I actually love being in business. I'd like to be more into the business environment. So it cannot be that. And I also created content. And I was like, with content, as long as I don't feel like pushed to having to create it, it's fine. I still like creating content. So I was like, that's not the issue either. So I was trying to understand what it was. And at the end, for me, that was like burnt out. So once I understood that, I was like, okay, then going away for a month actually did help a lot. So I feel like what I understood for myself, at least, is like I need to stay in London for like a couple of months and then leave and then eventually come back. Like I need that break. Maybe because I do many things. I don't know, but I feel like I can get burnt out quite easily. So that was the thing for me that made a difference.
Is there anything you do now or incorporate into your routine to make sure that you don't feel burnt out again? Or do you regularly take breaks, or do you do check-ins or anything of that sort?
All of it. So first of all, I check with myself every week to see if I still like what I do, if I'm happy with what I'm doing, and what if there's anything that I'm happy with, what can I change? Like what can I do to feel better? Whether it's maybe a client, whether maybe it is, I don't know, doing some work that is not supposed to be mine, but I'm still doing it because I'm professional and all this kind of stuff. And second thing, I think for myself is probably, I talk to myself quite a lot. And like, I literally put myself in front of the mirror. I'm like, so what's up? Why are you feeling this way? Like, because at the end of the day, it's just about being honest with yourself. And then another thing that I do, I always have those like first hours in the morning just for myself. and hours at night, like 2 hours before going to sleep, also for myself. So if I want to watch a TV show, if I want to read a book, if I want to just meditate, if I just want to sleep, if I just want to scroll on my phone, I will do that. I will allow myself to have that. Otherwise, I'm gonna go crazy. So yeah.
So allowing yourself to have time with yourself, making sure there's time schedule in the day where you get to focus on you and your thoughts and that are selfishly yours
Exactly.
and not dedicated to work.
Anything else, exactly.
Oh, amazing. Well, Marygrace, what do you think is next for you, or what do you think your future will look like? Is it going to be focusing here on the social media agency, or kind of what are the goals that you have for yourself right now?
Good question, because I have no idea. Honestly speaking, all the things that I do, I never plan them, ever. So I never thought I was going to design a collection with a brand. I never thought I was going to launch a masterclass. I never thought I was going to open a business. Either way, creating content and make a career out of it. Like, all of this is not new, but like unexpected, really unexpected. So I thought about it, and aside from like succeeding and pursuing and growing in each field, I don't want to plan anything in particular, because I just want to see whatever comes. Because as I said, it's not about the destination, it's the process. So whatever comes along, I'll see if it fits, and if it makes me happy, I'll do it.
And allowing yourself to be open to those opportunities of saying, like, as things come along, I have an open mindset, right? I'm not just, fixed on this is the only right thing for me. And that kind of allows you to maneuver and yeah, make your own path and your own career journey.
Which is what I always say to anyone that asks me, like, I'm the type that if tomorrow I wake up and I'm like, I am 100% sure that I don't like modeling anymore, I'll just stop. And I'm going to do something else. Like, I don't want to be stuck in that. As long as I like it and I'm happy with it, 100% I won. But the moment I realize that I don't like it anymore, I'll stop. So whatever comes my way, we keep it open.
I think that's hopefully some good inspiration for our listeners. Of, if you are doing something that you are not happy with, it is okay to leave, and like, let this be your inspiration and motivation to take the jump and do it, because then that'll open you up for opportunities that you may not have known would have existed, and you're no longer being like blocked or bombarded by something that's consuming your life that is not serving you.
Exactly.
Do you have any last advice before I let you go for young women who are early in their career, or what advice would you give them to help them pursue multiple passions or build a life and career that they really love?
So I have a few. First one, to really believe in themselves. Something that they really need to have is not even confidence, but is self-belief. You're gonna have lots of people, especially men, looking at you in a way that's like, oh, you're more successful than me. I don't like that. So that's the first thing. You need to know your worth really well. No matter like what career you decide to get into, you need to have that. You're gonna have lots of rejection. You're gonna have lots of like falls down. Things won't go as you plan. Just be aware of this. You might get more, but it won't be the way that you think you will get it. So in those moments, you need to believe in yourself. That's the moment where you actually pull that trigger in and you're like, yeah, I do remember that. I believe in myself. I'm good at what I do. I just need to keep going. Second advice is actually consistency. So if you have a goal, whether it's making 500,000 pounds a year, or whether it's opening a new business, or whether it's start creating content or achieving a certain amount of followers, consistency is the key. What I always say to whoever asks me this is always, if you don't do anything, you will never have progress. Even if you fail 10 times, that's still progress, because you learn, you have experience. And then maybe the 11th or maybe the 100th time, you will get it right and you will get what you want to get. So never give up, be consistent, and enjoy the process. That's the most important thing. Like, be happy about what you do. Make sure that like you actually enjoy what you like. Otherwise, you will feel chained to that job or that career.
I love all of that. Amazing. That was so beautiful, Marygrace. Thank you so, so much for coming on the Sky Society podcast and sharing her career journey and your advice, and also being vulnerable and talking about the hard things along the journey to success. This was honestly so much fun. So thank you again for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks to you for having me.